Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Episode number 34 of my AI Love Affair. My name is Ronsley, and today we're talking about Claude's new Anthropic Claude 2 model that is absolutely insane. It is blowing my socks off. I've been playing with it and testing it for a while, and I'm sure by the time this episode actually comes out, it would be way better than when I'm reporting about it. But it is way better with context. It's really interesting with the amount of parameters that it has, and it's a really new way to play with artificial intelligence. Let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, my AI Love Affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. Okay, as I mentioned in the start, today's tech stack is all about Anthropic's Claude 2. Go to claude.ai, CLAUDE.ai to find out more. Claude.ai/login for you to go and get into the login and start playing. It is free, especially if you're in the States. If you're not, wait till the end of this and I'll show you how I get into Claude being in Australia. All right, let's get into it. If you missed the last tech stack last week, we spoke about the difference between GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. And hopefully you're getting to understand that the different models are different in the way they respond. If you don't know what that is, go to a previous tech stack where I talk about what that is and how it predicts the next word and how the model and the prompt is so important to get the next word that comes out of the AI that you're using. So go check out that. It's episode 31. But let's talk about Anthropic's Claude 2. Now, Claude 2 is an artificial intelligence system created by Anthropic to be helpful, harmless, and honest. The 3 H's. It is a natural language model designed to have common sense and be safe to interact with. Understanding Claude is relevant because AI systems are being used more and more to interact with people. We want to make sure these systems are designed thoughtfully and you can understand how they work so that you can get the most out of getting some of the things in your business done correctly. Claude could be used by small businesses and creatives like us to automate customer service chats. It can be used to train and have natural conversations. It can also be trained to find some really interesting work when you know who you serve, your customer persona, and the product that you're trying to deliver to them. There's some really interesting use cases of Claude 2, and I can't wait to show you them. But before that, there are some basic concepts that I need you to understand. The first one is the common sense reasoning. So principle number 1 of basic concepts is common sense reasoning. Claude can make logical inferences like humans. It's like Claude has read between the lines to fill gaps in understanding, similar to how you would use common sense in school. For example, if told, Joey's cat climbed a tree, Claude can infer that the cat is probably stuck and might need help getting down without being explicitly told that it needs help getting down. The second principle is safe and helpful. Now, Claude aims to avoid harmful, dangerous, or unethical responses. In fact, it's one of the things that they mention way too many times, that they really want this to be a harmless sort of artificial intelligence, and they aim to make sure that it does not respond with some haphazard responses. It acts responsibly like a helpful tutor or customer service agent. For example, if asked for advice about breaking the law, Claude will politely refuse to help. This is in a lot of cases, but in some cases, there are ways to get around it. Claude is very specific about why they want to have guardrails around their AI. Principle number 3 for basic concepts around Claude 2 is honest about limitations. Claude will admit if it does not actually know something or is unsure rather than make up false information. For example, if asked a very obscure math question, Claude will indicate if it does not know the answer. It's going to be interesting to try that because I'll show you that towards the end of this video. Okay, I can't wait to get into it, but before that, a few components that are really important for you to understand when it comes to Claude 2. Now, the first one is training data. Claude is trained on huge data sets to build knowledge about the world. For example, reading Wikipedia articles trains Claude on facts, and human conversations with Claude. Those logs, they teach Claude social communication norms, and that's how Claude is learning. That's the first component. The second is reinforcement learning from feedback. Now, Claude learns whether responses are helpful based on human ratings. So when you are using, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or any other form of artificial intelligence, if you're not happy with the response, try and train it and say what is wrong with it, which helps it understand you better and understand the norm better, especially when it comes to empathizing with your audience, with AI, using empathy, teaching it love, and how you can actually care about someone and teach that to the artificial intelligence. That's going to be really important. And that's going to be our responsibility, in fact, as creative entrepreneurs. So, for example, if a response seems incorrect or confusing, users can mark it as unhelpful or so that Claude or ChatGPT improves it. Upvoting a response trains Claude to give it better information. And finally, the third component is the limitations on generated content. Claude cannot access the open internet or generate harmful instructions as safety precautions. For example, it avoids providing dangerous advice or inappropriate content. We mentioned that in the principles, but also information Claude provides comes from its internal training and not open to every piece of information on the internet, which brings bias into the play, which is kind of an important topic. I have requested for Claude's API, and I can't wait to get access to that to create something that actually is so uniquely created to be helpful and answer politely, which is Claude 2. That's the first application. And by the way, if you are looking at growth tactics, I covered these on Mondays. Like episode 5 a few Mondays ago was all about building growth focused partnerships. I cover the principles on how that particular growth tactic should work, a mistake to avoid, and the steps to perform. And I talk about a bunch of prompts and how to use artificial intelligence to execute those steps at speed. So go check that out. Application number 2 is content generation. Claude can write thoughtful passages on requested topics by inferring key information to include. Given a prompt like explain tides, it will generate an explanation covering gravity's effect on oceans. It can summarize information on requested topics based on its training. Using Claude 2 for content generation with its ability to upload files, you should use it to upload your customer persona and your voice and writing style and say, I am writing to this customer and this is my writing style. I want you to write an article that does this or that talks about why or covers these particular things. That way you're giving it more context, and then Claude can actually do a way better job with better context. So that's application number 2. Application number 3 is research conversations. Claude allows safe research of AI capabilities and limitations through natural chat. Scientists can study its conversational abilities. Ethicists can probe its reasoning about moral dilemmas. And also, when you are able to put a whole bunch of conversations that you have into Claude, because of its token size and the size of its parameters, it allows you to take lots and lots of data. And I'm talking about 3, 4, 5 hours of data, transcripts, even more, putting that into Claude and saying, analyze this for key takeaways and analyze this for voice style, analyze this for to-do items. It becomes really powerful to use Claude. Okay, the few things before I wind this up is the two main things that make Claude's common sense capabilities are its knowledge base and its inferential reasoning. Now, this whole slide deck is going to be in the Discord channel, so go to aigeeks.co/Discord to join. It's free. Let's talk about the knowledge base. This is like an internal encyclopedia for Claude containing millions of facts, concepts, and relationships learned from training data. This allows Claude to have broad knowledge about the world. Some examples of Claude's knowledge are basic facts like Paris is the capital of France, dolphins are mammals, the sun is a star, ovens are used for baking, baking is a form of cooking. So that's the knowledge base. Inferential reasoning is the second most important point that makes Claude's common sense capability so powerful. It allows Claude to make logical deductions from its knowledge base to fill in the gaps in understanding. It's like if Claude is given a puzzle piece, it can use reasoning to figure out where it should fit in the bigger picture. Given the weatherman said a big storm is coming, Claude can deduce people in the storm's path should prepare themselves to either evacuate or for the storm that's coming their way. So Claude is really powerful in that. Now, going deeper, there are several things that I wanted to know when it came to Claude, and I thought it was important for you to know, which was if there's conflicting information in Claude's knowledge base, how does it return the right information? So there are several strategies apparently that it uses. It uses probability weighting, it uses contextual preference, it uses plausibility judgments, admitting uncertainty, and seeking clarification. But the first one, probability weighting, is basically Claude assigns a confidence score to each fact based on how reliably it was learned during training. If two facts conflict, it will trust the one with higher confidence. The second one is contextual preference. The relevance of information may depend on the specific context. Facts will be weighted based on how applicable they are to the current situation. And the third one that is really interesting is plausibility judgments. These are strategies used by Claude where it evaluates which claim is more believable or logically sound when it comes to facts conflicting. For example, if told bats are reptiles after learning they are mammals, it will favor the mammal classification. Now, before we get into some of the examples of Claude and how it can be used, go to myailoveaffair.com to find all the previous episodes of the show and future ones coming up. Subscribe to the show, find it on YouTube, Spotify, and all your favorite podcast platforms. But let's get into how to get onto Claude 2. I'm in Australia and Claude is not available in Australia. So what I do is I go into my VPN and I set up my VPN in a way that is specific to an IPsec connection. And I connect to the States, and once it's connected, I should be able to get into Claude 2. So if you don't know, I wrote a program called WriteFlow, and I decided to upload the whole code of WriteFlow into Claude and say, analyze this code and give me suggestions on how I can improve it. I put my whole command engineering prompt list. If you don't know what that is, it is a list of my prompts that I give level 2 and level 3 AI Geeks. So I uploaded that and asked it to summarize. There are some really interesting things that I did. So there was a friend of mine who passed away through COVID. His name is Kevin Hutto. Kevin was an amazing online marketer and one of the legends that created a lot of really important marketing principles that we use today. And he created one called the Hydra Facebook Audience Amplifier, which is how to create videos on Facebook in a way that video ads on Facebook in a way that when you cut off one head, two more appear. But it's about how to build trust with your audience. So I put his whole transcript in and built this phenomenal prompt that can take someone's business and create their 7 problem videos, their 10 commandments or values videos, and their 30 days in the live videos for their business, which is very powerful when it comes to this particular strategy. In the meantime, I love that you're here. Thank you for being here and listening, watching, consuming the podcast. Any suggestions on what we can do to improve, please let us know. Send us an email. Let us know over the socials as well. But connect with us. And as always, until next week, love what you do what you love. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/Discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.